Today's podcast is brought to you by StrongHeartAcademy.com, where no heart is no victory. We are also brought to you by BJJ To Go. If you want to build your game and learn jiu-jitsu, go to bjjtogo.com. Third thing we're brought to you by is Rat Bat. You got rats? Want to kill bats? Kill them with a rat bat. Fourth thing we're brought to you by is hot dog flavored water ingredients. If you want to add it to your smoothie, hot dog flavor ingredient. All right. Is the sky falling and are we all going to die?
Yes, we will all die
Eventually.
I don't know about the atmospheric conditions currently.
Yeah.
No. I got the coronavirus 6 times yesterday. I'm fine.
6 times?
Yeah,
That's
I'm fine.
Not good.
So
You're
all right.
Dr. Peter.
Yeah.
You're
so
a medical professional.
emergency medicine physician,
Yeah.
board certified,
Board certified.
certifiable.
You're in the front lines. Especially where you work, I'm sure it might get worse there before other hospitals, right? You think, or not?
I don't know.
Not
They're
really.
probably about the same. The Scottsdale Shea has a case and Maricopa has a suspected case on the 3rd floor that they've isolated. So those are 2 very disparate kind of locations.
Yeah, that's
too.
true.
Downtown versus kind of out in fancy Scottsdale.
Fancy Scottsdale. What would you, if someone suspects they have coronavirus or they're sick, what should they do?
They should Tylenol, ibuprofen, alternating every 3 hours. So take Tylenol, then 3 hours later ibuprofen, then 3 hours later Tylenol, then 3 hours later ibuprofen. They should drink a ton of liquids, especially liquids containing vitamins. And they should they should try and isolate themselves as much as possible from other family members. Keep a distance of at least 6 feet from people. They say like a full meter is the best, but 2 meters isn't going to hurt you. And I would try and write it out, because for the data that we have from both China, from Iran, from Italy, are the 3 kind of big epicenters of this right now. So they're very different data. China, 80-year-old people had a highest mortality rate somewhere in the 14% range. Then as you went to 70 to 80-year-old, it dropped all the way down into like the 4 range. And then 60 to 70 was down around 1.5. And then in the 50s, it was all the way down to less than 1%, which is around where the flu is, depending on the year. And below that, it was great. They had 0 deaths in the under 1 year of age and 0 deaths under the 10 years of age. And so that data was very reassuring that this is a virus that affects only the very elderly, and that we can resource-wise be able to probably handle that. Although Phoenix has a ton of retired people, so that age range is kind of ballooned here. But then we look at the data from Iran, and Iran has much lower mortality rates, and the data is not as good there. And then you go to Italy, and that's where it gets scary. And the concern with Italy is that they have death rates somewhere around the 4%, which is pretty high, and even up to 8% if you look at some of the numbers. But theirs seems to be predominantly in the 40 to 50 age range, and specifically targeting obese, hypertensive, coronary artery disease, diabetic people, and anyone with any immune compromise. In America, they estimate approximately 35% of the adult population is obese.
Yep. So that's a problem.
And I'm 40
But
to 50
that
and
is also a
obese, so I'm
problem.
dead.
That's a problem even if there wasn't coronavirus.
That's true.
I mean, you're
So
still going to get heart issues, cancer, diabetes. Those 3 right there are going to kill a lot of people.
According to the WHO data in Italy, they have 630 deaths from it, which is pretty significant amount for, I think it was around 10 or 12,000 people confirmed infected. So that's a pretty high mortality rate, and that should be a fairly resource-rich country. But my cousin is currently over there.
Yeah,
Joel Fritz.
Yeah.
Shout out to Joel.
Joel.
Ciao. Arrivederci. So he, anyway, it's just interesting because it sounds like they're having a problem with ventilators, which is the supportive care is how you treat this. Tylenol, ibuprofen, and fluids, and rest.
Yeah.
And let yourself recover. And so if you have the symptoms, just do that, especially if you're under 50. You shouldn't have any problems. I'm just kind of skipping from topic to topic. I'm sorry, but I'm trying to cover a lot of ground very quickly. So they say 15% of people never, ever know they even have the virus, and that's all comers. They say about 30% of young people have a single symptom of feeling like they have some allergies in their nose, and that is the entire detriment to their health.
Yeah.
And
I saw a video today that epidemiologist was saying, like, some people just think they have allergies, even like not even a cold. They just think they have allergies, but meanwhile they're walking around and putting it out there,
shooting virus on everybody.
Yeah.
And that's so then we also can compare it to other coronaviruses like the MERS virus, which was in the Middle East, and then in China in 2003 was SARS.
Yeah.
And those are both coronaviruses. And SARS was much more deadly, but also you didn't shed the virus until day 5 or 6 when you became symptomatic and got in trouble. So you could have this incubation period of 4 or 5 days where you were not technically, but you were less likely to be spreading the virus.
Yeah.
And then when you're symptomatic, that's when you spread the virus. So you could isolate the people that were sick. The thing that's different about this is that when you first get it, you're shedding tens of thousands of viruses within the first 3 to 6 hours. And that is totally an asymptomatic period. So you don't even know you have it, and you're giving it to people all over around you. And then usually on day 2 or 3 is when you start becoming symptomatic. And then it's usually a very mild illness.
Yeah.
Tylenol, ibuprofen, and fluids.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just going to, I should make up some sort of acronym like TIF. You just TIF it,
TIF it.
Yeah. So, TIF it out.
TIF it out.
And so, it's just crazy. So the good data is still from Italy and still from Iran and still from China that the people that are under 20 have zero impact to their life.
Yeah.
Really.
And those are the people that are producing, or I should say 20 to 40, under 40 are the producers of economies. They're working,
your workforce really is 30 to 40. That's those are the people who they're no longer trained. They are the trainers, and the main workforce is 30 to 40-year-old males. And so for those guys, it's probably going to be a head cold, maybe some cough.
Yep.
The concern is in the elderly, it immediately seems to go into a lower respiratory infection, which is your lungs and not your throat, your trachea, your nose.
Yep.
So it becomes hard to breathe for them. And if you have hypertension, then you can get pulmonary edema and fluid in your lungs. If it's bad enough, you need to get intubated. And so that's going to be the single resource that's really concerning is the ability to intubate somebody. And
then how many ventilators you have.
How many ventilators you have is the rate limiting factor. So anyway, the thing that drives me crazy is I'm not afraid to get the coronavirus. I'm not afraid to get COVID-19. I'm not afraid. I am afraid of the craziness that people are having with buying toilet paper and other stupid things. Like, if you knew that you were going to get a cold, would you change your whole life?
No.
So for the
I would change very little, actually. I tend to still work around the house when I'm sick. I don't even usually lay in bed. So no.
So, I mean, don't get me wrong. We need to take this serious.
Yeah.
There's a huge at-risk population, especially in Phoenix.
Yep.
And then also the other thing is the MERS virus and the SARS virus. I'm sorry, I'm just keep hopping around. I apologize. But they both died in summer. They both started in winter. SARS for sure was in February, but by May there was very few cases.
Yeah.
Now, there was good isolation of people once they were symptomatic.
Yeah.
And that was a big thing. And so maybe it did really kind of shut that down, the transmission down. Also, in that amount of time, in 3 months, the virus can mutate pretty radically and become less of a killer, or it could become more of a killer. So you don't know which way that's going to go, but we have a 50-50 chance it's going to get more benign.
Yeah.
And then also the MERS virus died in the summer too.
Mm-hmm.
And I heard a couple experts say that had nothing to do with the change in weather. And I don't know that I necessarily agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're experts and they're probably right.
Yeah.
They think it was good isolation, good treatment, good public information and how not to spread it, which I think is a huge weapon that we have against this virus. But I also think that in Phoenix, when we start getting temperatures over 100, 110,
Mm-hmm.
the virus outside of the human body does not exist very long, especially when it's dry and we have no humidity here.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, the heat does denature the protein. At about 105, 106 degrees, proteins start to unravel. That's why a temperature of that high is really bad. You actually melt your brain. You denature your proteins in your brain. So we do have that. Phoenix basically will get a fever during the summer.
Yeah.
And it'll be a high enough fever that it will.
Which is why I always think by the end of summer, people get really a little bit crazy in Phoenix. Like by like August, people like, I mean, they're a little bit like patience is a little less, and people get a little bit fired up a little bit quicker. And I always wonder if like the heat, like they're cooked a little too long, you know,
a little melted on the edges.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know. It's not scientific at all, but I just always wonder that because always by the end of the summer, like everyone's like fried a little bit.
I think it's because your kids are home.
Yeah, maybe this could be it too. Yeah. Can't wait till school gets out.
So so it's funny. I'm touching my face a lot, and I'm remembering the video I watched of the lady who's like, "Don't touch your face, okay?"
Dude, the worst was she stuck her finger in her mouth to change her notes, and I was like, "Oh my gosh!" And my wife, because I do that, and the boys hate it. I read to them at night, and I go like this, and I change the page, and my boys are like, "What are you doing? You can't do that." I'm like, "Meanwhile, you slobber all over me, all the time, like all the time." But anyway.
It's really funny. So at the hospital that I'm at in Maryville, they're now putting a greeter out front to screen you before you even come into the hospital, and then we'll put you in an isolation room and you be interviewed there. Now here's the crazy part to me. This is the super funny part is if we have one room that's an isolation room, a negative vacuum room, and so do we just keep sticking people in there as they come in and they have the risk factors?
It's like a giant jail cell?
I don't know. And it's just like all these people in this room. And then am I dooming the guy who possibly had it but didn't actually have it? And then I put a guy in there with him.
Now he's stuck with everybody else.
And it's like, so do you want to come to my hospital? Because I'm going to stick you in a room with a bunch of other potentially infectious people.
So, I mean, you're saying, because you were saying before too, you should stay home and treat this like a cold until you have respiratory problems. Like, hey, I can't breathe. Then you need to come into the hospital.
Then you need to come in.
Yeah. And I think that's important that needs to be put out there for people so that they don't overrun the hospitals, but also they do go when you need to go and don't wait too long either. When, hey, it is a problem, you need to get help.
Yeah. So there's the other pandemic that nobody talks about is anxiety in America. Oh my gosh, man, everybody has anxiety. It's amazing. I don't know if we've just gotten like less tough mentally as we.
Jiu-jitsu helps my anxiety.
Jiu-jitsu helps a lot.
Ton. It helps my anxiety so much. Yeah. Exercise, but I hate exercise. So you can
actually
my exercise.
Well, you can. I hate exercise too, but you can actually boost your immune system by eating right, sleeping at least 8 hours and 14 minutes a day. I always say that 8 hours and 14, so it sounds weird, so people remember it. Having and then exercising regularly, and then not doing drugs or alcohol. If you do those four things,
that's crazy. You're speaking this new revelation of
nobody has ever talked about this before.
Nobody's
in the
talked
world
about
of medicine. I just discovered
it. to be healthy living. You've told me that before. You told me before that, Mike, if people slept more, ate better, didn't do drugs or alcohol, I would cut down and exercise. Like half the hospital.
I wouldn't have a job.
You wouldn't have much of a not a lot of people would be coming
scrambling to find a place to work. So I mean, it's just crazy. So if you do those things, your immune system will be at a very good high active level, and when you encounter the coronavirus, you will eat it for lunch.
Yeah,
I mean that's just how it is.
Yeah.
If you sleep is such a big thing for your immune system for cycles. When you're sleeping, you're kind of recharging everything. You're processing your food. you eat clean, you exercise, you're gonna be a coronavirus
Sleep is huge
destroyer.
for me personally, and for years I got very little sleep because I was working 2 jobs, doing landscaping, get up early, went to bed late, and not all of that was things that I could even control just because I had to make money or work. But now, like if I sleep 9 hours, I feel like invincible.
Rambo.
I feel like I could run through walls, and I literally ran through that wall of it. No, but I feel like I'll heal faster too. Like my muscles are less sore. Like I trained hard the night before. If I sleep like 9 hours, and drink a lot of water too. I'll drink a ton of water, which makes me pee at night. But still, I wake up and I feel great. And I did literally nothing. I didn't even take protein. I just slept and drank water.
What you just said is super important. Hydration is another key component to this. So if you have any kind of symptoms, stay home, alternate, tiff it out. Tylenol,
tiff it out. I like this.
Ibuprofen and fluids. Tiff it out. And that's the big thing. If you start having trouble breathing, come see me.
Okay.
If you're not having trouble breathing,
specifically you, but go to the hospital.
Any hospital, you come see me. I don't care. But I mean, you really should be trying to manage this at home because the more time that I'm away from somebody who's not breathing and dealing with someone who has the sniffles or a mild cough or something, like that, the more time that
that just went off. I don't know if it's. Hold on 1 second.
No problem. My nose is totally stuffed up. I mean, I could have the coronavirus. Literally, I could have it right now. I hope I do, because then I'll be totally immune through the.
Get it done early.
Yeah, it's like
immunity fast. I was telling you, like, I don't get sick often, like rarely often. I used to get respiratory infections, but not like the flu or cold. I would just get like a chest, and it would last a long, long time, and I would feel really tired, but not much more than that. Like I would have a cough, but even my nose wouldn't really be bad, just my chest. And then I realized, like, if I got my allergies under control, and the last 2 years I haven't got respiratory infections. I started finding what allergy medicine worked, because I'd always have to, like, my whole life I'd had allergies. Even when I was a kid, I took shots. When they used to give me shots.
Which one worked for you?
Flonase works right now.
Flonase
currently.
That's like the bomb. That thing is awesome. That's
currently that's what. But I've used like a bunch of stuff, and sometimes they'll work for like a month or two, and then it's just doesn't work anymore.
Cetirizine should work for you. That's the one that you should try. Cetirizine. Cetirizine.
The Flonase is cheap. It's easy to get to. And I tried Zyrtec, and it didn't work very well for me. Yeah.
Oh.
My mom was taking it, so I was trying to take it, and it just wasn't helping. But I've noticed that, like, again, if I keep my allergies in check, I don't have any respiratory problems. And same thing with asthma. I used to get asthma. If I keep my allergies in check, I don't have any asthma at all. When I was a kid, I one of the first sports that most kids try is soccer. It's on a field. And in Arizona, the fields are basically dirt. And
Bermuda.
And Bermuda, yeah. I was super allergic to it. And I got asthma really bad and allergies really bad. So that was it. Like indoor sports, so I never played baseball, football, or soccer. I played basketball. And then I did gymnastics and grappling and stuff like that. Yeah. But mainly because of my allergies, and not because I wouldn't want to play those sports. And then as I got older, I'm like, I started getting those respiratory problems. And I realized that, like, hey, man, if I just keep my allergies in check and recognize that I need to take care of that, I don't have the other issues. So that's what I've done, and I feel it's been awesome, because those respiratory problems, man, it would take me, like, a month to get over them. Like, they wouldn't just be a week or 2 weeks. It would be, like, a full month, sometimes longer, and I would just be so tired, like my body's fighting this thing.
Well, it's interesting that if you have an issue with pulmonary stuff, then that's a risk factor for the coronavirus, because it's a lower respiratory infection. Yeah. And so, like, smoking is another thing that people don't understand. If you quit smoking right now, no matter where you're at in your disease process, you will have some recovery of lung function.
Yeah.
And I mean, it could be you've smoked for 50 years and you're only going to get 10% back. But think about that 10% is going to
10%
be pretty important to
is
you.
a lot when you're having trouble breathing.
Yeah, especially when you're in 20 years from now when you're like totally trashed
Yeah.
and your lungs, you can't breathe at
And
all.
really, like, when the last couple of years when I've had these respiratory issues, I wasn't wheezing. I wasn't having wheezing. I would just feel like heavy chest, harder to breathe, but not that crackling, like feel like restrictive
Not
here.
not the tightness.
Yeah, I would just
It's
be
like an ache.
chest, and I felt slow. Myself felt slow. So
You're probably fighting off disease, Yeah, so all of this stuff is so funny. And again, I can't even believe that there's no toilet paper. Like, it's like the funniest thing to me.
why out of everything toilet paper, man?
I don't know.
Seems
There's
so weird.
literally no need for toilet paper.
I think it's just human psychology, and I read a lot of marketing books, and it's the rationing thing where
Yeah.
humans go, oh man,
toilet-
rationing.
Toilet paper's not going to spoil, right? So you can grab a bunch of it and
Yeah.
it'll just sit there.
No, but like people hear in the news, there's no toilet paper. They're like, oh, I have to get toilet paper, and like something primal in your brain goes, no, you're gonna get toilet paper.
Resources are gone.
Resources are gone, even though it's not a real resource that's
I saw a thing
necessary.
on the internet. It was two like tiered things of toilet paper, a big thing of hand sanitizer, and 2 gloves, and it said, "Looking to trade for a 2017 or newer Cadillac Escalade. No lowball offers. I know what I have." I was like, that's super funny. And one of the comments underneath was like, "Is that 2-ply?"
I was like happy, like my wife got a bunch of toilet paper. Like we were good for like a month or two. We don't go through that much. You have a lot of daughters, so this is a problem for you. But I only have, I have boys and a wife, so we use less toilet paper. That was one of the things I always tell people.
I'm getting a bidet.
One of the first things when I got married and I was living with my wife that was shocking to me is how much toilet paper women use. I was like, what? Where is all the toilet paper going? I'm like, you pee it, you just got to dab. And you're like, do you use like a ball of toilet paper to dab? I don't understand what's going on here.
I looked on online a couple days ago they have these like $8,000 smart toilets.
Oh yeah.
And I mean, I wasn't looking to buy them,
Yeah.
but just there's this like lady, this elegant lady in like a robe, and as she walks to the toilet opens and graciously welcomes her with a song, and there's like a soft blue
This is
light.
like Japan, man. They have Japan has these crazy toilets.
And so she sits down, and the seat is already pre-warmed to her settings.
Nice.
And then as she's sitting there, the urine stream or the triggers an automatic cleaning of the bowl and like all this stuff, and then she basically goes there, sits down, and leaves, and the thing does all this stuff. It like has like rotating and
Cleaning and
jigging, front and back and semicircular jet streams with warmed water.
it's only
Casually
like
massage
$8,000. That's
your
it.
reason, yeah. And then it was like then afterwards, two jets waft warmed air until the area is dry. As you leave, the toilet closes, hermetically sealing, and scents are sprayed, and like it had all this stuff, and that it was like it could be set to do timed cleaning and like all these things, that it's self cleaning, and so it's like basically you only touch the toilet with your butt and you leave, and that's it. And you don't have to deal with it. You don't have
Just
to do anything.
sit down like this, no hands or touching anything.
I was like, for $8,000, that seems like too much for me.
A little
for me.
much.
I could just
yeah,
wait.
Adrian was telling me, he's been telling me about the squishy tushy or something like that. It's just an attachment you put on your toilet, and he's like, bro, so you gotta get
Yeah,
this.
those
Like,
bidet stuff is good.
why are you eating this? Why don't you get this toilet paper? So I'm sure their stock is going up.
Oh yeah.
Where everything else is.
Well, I ordered one. I ordered a bidet attachment for the toilet.
You're gonna save billions of dollars
Hey,
at
man.
your house.
And I
All the girls.
don't have to go out and order toilet paper.
And this is true too. Yeah. So
the
what do you
drying
think?
is a problem. That's
You train here at Strongheart. What do you think I should be doing more? I mean, I super clean everything. I just told Brennan that now we're gonna wash all the handles twice a day with my Clorox wipes.
bleach, yeah.
We wiping down everything constantly. And obviously, if you're sick, stay home. I was saying that if you have a family member sick, I'd like you to stay 5 days for yourself. If you have no symptoms for 5 days, stay home. Then come in. Is there anything else that I can add? I was thinking about if you're sick, starting to live stream the classes. So if you are sick, you can still watch classes at home.
That's a good idea. So you can still train at home and not
still train at
have
home.
any contact.
Yeah.
It's really hard to get an infection through the
TV?
computer. Yeah.
Screen. Yeah.
It's like super hard. I don't know. I think for me, I don't know if class sizes come down. I haven't been in a little bit, but I'm off this next week, so I'm going to be in a ton training because I'm, number one, not afraid of the coronavirus.
Yeah.
It's not going to limit what I do.
Yeah.
If I get severe disease, and I'm morbidly obese, and I'm 47 years old. Yep. If from the Italy data, I'm one of the highest risk factors there are, so highest risk groups. So like, it doesn't matter to me. I need to exercise, otherwise my pulmonary function goes down, which is what I'm worried about. Yeah. I need to eat right. I need to sleep well, and when I train, I do all those things so much better. Like, I'll be better prepared for the coronavirus if I ever get it because I'm training. Yeah. And so for me, I'm not going to stop training. I'm definitely not going to be like change my life for this, other than maybe I'll wash my hands more. I already washed my hands I got OCD, man.
I mean, you were a doctor, so
I literally wash my hands before the patient, wash my hands after the patient, and then I go to my computer, I do my stuff, I wipe down my station, then I go to the next patient, and I wash my hands before I go in, I wash my hands afterwards. I have like chafed, horribly gross hands.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's the biggest thing, is hand washing will prevent most of this. Like, I keep touching my face. You touch your face 4 times in a minute. That's the average for the human.
That's crazy.
You just do it 4 times a minute. So I'm not going to stop that. I'm not going to train myself.
Washing your hands so that your hands are clean when you're touching your face is going to help. And then obviously, don't cough without covering your mouth, so you're not going.
But again, if I get the coronavirus,
earlier is better. You were saying too, because
I'm most likely not going to have any problems with it.
Because once you have it, how long do you?
You're immune afterwards.
You're immune afterwards. Yeah. So it's almost better to get it early.
Yeah, I mean, there's this weird kind of selfish thinking. Yeah, it sounds. If you get it early, then if you do need the resources, they're there right now.
Yes.
And then
if things get bad,
you'll be immune. Yeah. And so getting it right now might not be a bad plan.
It sounds so crazy.
Really crazy, but
that sounds crazy. But
if you're 80, I don't recommend you get it now.
If what?
But then you also probably shouldn't be training jiu-jitsu at 80 if you're just starting.
Probably not. I mean,
if you're that beast mode at that age, come on, bring it. That'll be awesome. I'll roll with you. But
yeah, I've trained with one 80-year-old.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mansoor. I was there when he gave Joe Moreira his coral belt, and he was already a white red coral belt. And then he was giving Joe Moreira the black red coral belt or whatever. Okay. And it was so impressive because I was like, it actually was helped me because I was like,
dude, still
I was 29, and this guy was still fired up about jiu-jitsu, and like he was on the ground and he could stand up. And that in my mind was like, holy crap, my grandfather couldn't. If he got on the ground, there's going to take 4 of us to get his butt up. Like, he ain't getting off the ground. And if he fell on the ground, it wasn't on purpose. This dude was doing drop falls and showing hip escapes and like doing a technical stand up. I'm like, dude, this dude's like 80 something. That's
healthy, yeah.
Awesome.
There's so many people that are in their 70s and 80s that are really healthy. Yeah. That, for me, I get a skewed population. I see the 70 and 80-year-old guys that are they've not been doing well for 20 years. But
I was thinking about that too. I watched the podcast with Joe Rogan, and it was like very doom and gloom with that guy. But I was thinking
Michael, whatever his name was.
I don't remember his name.
They're talking about the expert.
Yeah, the expert guy. But I was like, this guy, that's what he deals with. And there's this weird thing, like when you're around
Michael
something,
Osterholm.
You see that. Like a lot of police officers are that way too. Like when you're a police officer long enough, every time you pull someone over,
you're like, this guy's a scumbag.
This guy's a scumbag, because that's what you see so much. So you start to see,
it's population bias.
Yeah, your population bias. Yeah. So I was also wondering if, obviously, he's a scientist and, he's using data. He's not like not using data, but like, I feel like you see the worst case scenarios more likely than unlikely,
for sure,
because that's what the field that you deal in, and also it prepares you for the worst because you're already mentally preparing for this terrible scenario.
My motto as emergency medicine literally is worst first. I mean, I take care of the worst people first.
Yeah.
I look at you and try and rule out the worst things first.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna make sure that I remove the worst problem first. I mean, it's like literally worst first. That's the thing. So, and I've got two things I got to start saying: worst first and tiff it out.
Tiff it out.
Tiff it out. Tylenol, ibuprofen, and fluids.
Tylenol.
And that's what. And if you come to me in the emergency room and you've got minor symptoms, that's what I'm going to tell you to do. If you come to urgent care, that's what they're going to tell you to do. There's no.
You were saying that you didn't think. You were also telling me before we started recording that there's no vaccine. They're not going to get. That's a.
So to really do a vaccine right is 2 or 3 years of testing and different permutations and trying to figure it out. And that's like your normal vaccine is at least 2 to 3
plus
years.
All the testing.
Plus the testing, plus the FDA.
Getting it through. Yeah.
If you were able to get rid of all the testing you needed and you guessed right on the very first one, like you grabbed the right first piece of the virus that was going to be the one that your immune system recognized, that was going to be able to put into people and replicate it easily and yada, 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 yada. Everything was absolutely, absolutely perfect. It would still be 6 months before you were able to get a vaccine. So, and I mean, I'm talking about that. You literally get rid of every government regulation and every thing, and somebody could just figure this out. It'd be 6 months.
And then you might have a vaccine that has side effects that you don't even realize, and then it could cause another problem.
Yeah, and
everyone gets this vaccine, and then now everyone has this new thing.
Yeah, like mad cow disease or something. So anyway, it's just crazy. So the way your immune system works, which is I think important for people to understand, is a virus is basically a group of proteins that are arranged in such a way that when they encounter your cell, they stick to the proteins on the outside and somehow either make a hole, inject, or create a channel, and they insert the DNA into your cell.
Which is
and that
like
DNA
a horror film.
Has a little bit of enzymes on either end of it that tell it to tell your body to take it and travel it to the nucleus and cut your DNA and stick it in there and set. And so when you come over to read your DNA, which is like the master plans of your body, and normally it says make a finger, make a finger cell. Instead it says stop everything and make a virus. Yeah. And so then you just start, and it loops back over it, so it just stays stuck there. So you're just saying make a virus, make a virus, make a virus. And so what happens is all of your systems in your cell just start making viruses until they literally fill up the cell and explode. And either the cell deteriorates from its lack of activity or the cell literally explodes because it's so full of virus. And that's what the coronavirus does.
Pops like a balloon.
It pops like a balloon, and then it sheds thousands of viruses everywhere, and they go and stick onto the next cell. Yeah. So because it is extracellular and not intracellular like certain other ones like Listeria, and there's some weird viruses, weird other bacteria, that does stuff, because it goes extracellular, what happens is that your immune system, say a neutrophil, which is one part of the immune system, grabs a hold of it and says, is this me or not me? And if it doesn't express the right proteins that says this is I'm Mike Martin, you have these little proteins that say I'm Mark Martin. And if they don't have those proteins, then the neutrophil sucks it into itself, creates a vacuole, which is a little cell, and then it sends all these lysosomal packets and explodes it with acid. That's so cool. And then it poops that out, and then that has proteins on it that it's pooped out. You have to pronounce the O's. And then when it goes out, then that explodes, and all those pieces that have been acid fried of the bacteria, now you have these cells that come in and grab those and say, this is not us. And they take that piece all the way down to one of your immune centers, and then the immune center says, this is not us. This is part of an invader. And they code something that sticks to that also expresses proteins that says, take me out of system. So now your antibodies are floating around, and the antibody finds a piece of the virus that it was normally attached to, and it sticks to the virus, and it now expresses these proteins that says, I've got a hold of an invader, grab me. And then your body grabs that piece and sucks it in and kills it. It's the same way, either it sticks it in a fat globule where it can't react with anything, or it does. There's all these different ways that it can do it. That's not a common one, the fat one, but it usually breaks it apart enzymatically. It sends all these cleaving enzymes, or there's all these different ways that your body works with that. But all of that system working together is your immune system. And that's just two pieces of, a 1,000-piece puzzle.
Yeah.
But in order to have all of that stuff, I get, me and you both, we were talking about earlier, we get exposed to stuff all the time. You're in close contact with hundreds of people a week.
Yeah.
Same with
for
me.
like
I'm
16 years. Yeah.
For 16 years. So
a lot of different people from different walks of life also, I think, is,
yeah. Yeah.
People that
Lawyers
have money,
and
don't have money.
bankers
It doesn't matter. Like all different industries, they all come here, and then I mix with all of them, and I shake all their hands and bro hug them. I don't do the I'm not in Italy. We don't kiss the cheek or holy kiss or whatever.
Maybe that's why the Italy transmission was so bad.
That's why I was wondering about it, because they're so close with these. It's a closer society.
I know you brought that up earlier. That's a good point.
But I don't know.
So I'm thinking, what else? Anyway, just don't be afraid of this virus unless you have severe symptoms.
Yeah.
And the chance that you have severe symptoms is
and don't be selfish. And if you're sick, stay home. Like, don't be selfish and go out and
wait 3 days.
Yeah, wait a couple days.
Till you get rid of the.
I think the good news is that businesses, if you're sick, are not going to give you problems. Oh no, they're going to no, stay home.
Yeah.
Go stay home. I know Luke was saying that they're where he works, they were saying like they're trying to get everyone to work from home. Like 50% of staff is going to be working now.
Yeah,
from home.
The NBA, NCAA, the spring training games, all this stuff is getting canceled. Disneyland closed.
And I was talking about Disneyland too. People were like, someone was freaking out about Disneyland, but I was like, you know what? Whenever I'm going to Disneyland, you know how many foreign people at Disneyland?
Yeah.
Like, it's like half are foreign, and we're all standing in lines. And
you're touching the same railing that they just touched.
Oh my gosh! And everyone's
you get on
just
the ride that they just
coughing
touched.
on each other. I don't even on a normal, no pandemic. Me going to Disneyland, I'm like, everyone here is gross.
Well, think about how unselfish that decision was of Disneyland to say, look, we're going to shut down because they're losing
a lot of money,
tons of money doing it.
Yep.
So I think it's
those are places
noble
again that people from traveling from all over the world, from places that are sick.
Yep.
Come here, and then we're standing in line next to each other for 45 minutes minimum to get on a ride. Like these rides, and then some of the rides
so you're saying it's a cesspool.
It is 100% a cesspool.
So Disneyland is a cesspool.
And they keep that place clean, man. But you can't, the dude behind me from wherever,
But schools are a cesspool too.
Yeah.
I mean, you want to talk about a cesspool? Those they call them what is it? Infectious generators.
Yeah.
So they literally, the transmission rates are so high in schools, and then you go home and you generate a whole other strain of, or whole other like sequence of infection. So it's like you go to school, then they all go out and spread out, and their whole families, and then everyone they touch, it just becomes this like this focus of.
Oh yeah, whenever school starts, my kids start getting sick like immediately.
Cover your
mouth. And now the older they get, the less they get sick. But the less they're sticking their hands directly in their mouth. Like people touch their face, but like little kids just stick their hands in their mouth straight up. And they're like testing things out.
And they don't tell you they're sick until they're like vomiting
until they're
acting weird.
My little one Ryder would be adamant. I am not sick, dude. You have a fever. What are you talking about? And he won't sit still. Like even with a fever. My older one, he's always been like, I'm sick. And then he just wants to sit still and do nothing, watch TV. But how about we just close it down? And I appreciate you coming out.
I was just going to say, can I do like a couple closing things real quick?
Yeah.
So the first thing is I would say, do not be afraid of the coronavirus.
Okay.
Be afraid of other people's reaction to it. The only thing that we can control is is our own selves.
Yep.
So if you want to spread panic, if you want to spread anxiety, then you're going to do that. If you also want to spread a sense of calmness and order and of what you can do to limit the disease, that's going to be actually helpful.
Yep.
So limit your contact with people if you can for a while. Be smart about it. If you're going to lose sleep, exercise, or a good diet, eliminate those and do those things so that your immune system is good. If you do get sick with something and you think it could be coronavirus, don't run to some place and try and get treated. Treat yourself with Tylenol, ibuprofen, and fluids. Tiff it out, and maintain fluids before you get in trouble. That's a big thing. People should start measuring water and measuring, Gatorade, Powerade, anything with electrolytes in it. Juices are great, especially for kids. They got vitamins in them. So I do water, then something else, water, then something else, in any of that category. Gatorade, Powerade, juices, any of that stuff is good. Maybe take some vitamins and make sure that you don't have any problems there. Which would be rare, but it can happen. And then don't panic. That's the big thing. Like, don't go out and buy toilet paper. Like, that's just stupid. Like, it's not even a need. It's just a weird thing. So make sure that if someone is sick, you stay away from them. Put them in the room. Tylenol, ibuprofen, fluids, and take care of them. And don't change the things in your life that are gonna break relationships, or that are things that are really unusual or abnormal that you would not normally do. Check yourself and see, would I would normally do this? Because when it comes down to this, maybe it has a 6% mortality rate. Maybe it has even if it was high as 15%. It's not going to affect the people that are under 40. It's those people are their immune systems are robust. And the more active and more better taking care of your body you can be, the better. So prepare in that way, and that's what you can do. The other stuff, buying toilet paper, buying hand sanitizer, sure, wash your hands as often as you can. That's a great decrease in transmission. But don't do crazy stuff that, like, don't wall yourself off. Don't be afraid of this virus in the way that we are. Be conscious of it and prevent transmission, and know that you're probably going to get sick, and that you're going to come through it.
I mean, it's funny because even if you were in a big crowd, if everyone just didn't cough on everyone, if everyone just, didn't sneeze and didn't cover their mouth, and if everyone just washed their hands, those things alone would have cut everything back by dramatically. I know they're saying, 6 feet to 9 feet or whatever, but a lot of that is also under the assumption that people within that range are still going to be coughing on you.
Well, the problem is, remember, we go back to
breathing isn't as bad.
A lot of
the
people
coughing,
are shedding
the droplets,
the virus
right?
before they know they're sick.
Yeah.
So the first 2 days, 3 days of the incubation period, you're shedding virus, but you're not sick.
Yeah, but even if I'm not sick, I don't actively cough on people.
Yeah.
Like, even if it's just a regular cough, like,
well,
I just
your hands.
I drank weird. I don't go and cough. I always cover my mouth, man, and I always wash my hands. Like,
yeah.
I go to the bathroom, I wash my hands. I don't know. I think people are being irrational a little bit.
Don't be irrational. That's probably the best.
And panicking.
Thing, yeah.
And then leaders, people look for leaders, and they look at. It's like a kid, right? If he's hurt, sometimes he just looks up at his mom. Am I okay?
Am I okay?
Am I okay?
Do I need to cry?
And
now?
people do that too for leaderships. Like, people don't want to admit that, but they do that for leadership, and it's important. I think the leaders are staying calm and not like, hey, I think the news are making things way worse. The news should be like saying tiff, like you're saying. That's what we should.
Tiff it out.
Tiff, guys. Tiff. I don't know. But I appreciate you coming on. And is there anything else you want to say? Or
That's it. That's great.
before you go to work and see if you can find any coronas?
I'm going to go get the coronavirus 6 times again today.
All right. Well, thanks, Peter. I appreciate it. I really do. And you're not allowed to die. So
all right.
I'm not giving you permission. I'm like the Marines. You only get permission to die if I give you permission. That's God. I'm not God, so I don't have that power. But
no, it's awesome.
I appreciate it, and I'll pray for you.
That's
that you're making the right decisions at work and doing your best. I know you do anyway, but pray. All right. Thank you. Appreciate it. Hope this helps you guys and helps have a calming effect a little bit. Hopefully. Bye.
Let me talk for just a second, help me feel that sense of rhythm. Find the meanings in our bearings and discover this position as a stage along the way. Another rung to the ladder, either stalling or you're climbing, and I'd rather be the latter. Instead of getting fatter, let the